20 years ago, I was a senior in high school, and after several years in development, Volkswagen had finally greenlit the production of the Bugatti Veyron. And this was around the time that the McLaren F1 values had finally started to creep back up from some low transaction values around $400,000. They were back up towards $1 million, and the idea that the world's fastest car was going to go up in value was a pretty novel idea after XJ220s and other cars that had been really fast had been really slow to sell. And so I knew that one day Bugattis were going to go up in value, and I wanted to be a part of that journey. So I actually contacted a German car dealer as an 18-year-old and said, I want an allocation for this exciting new car. And they gave me one in writing. I had a letter from them and from Volkswagen. I had phone calls with Bernd Pinschreiter, who was the CEO of Volkswagen at the time, talking about how to measure the seats and measure the pedals and take me to Molsheim for a fitting. And I got an allocation. Now, of course, I didn't have any money to buy this car, but my dream was that I'd either find a friend with some money that would let me drive it one day, or that I could flip it into making my first money in the car business. I actually found a guy who offered me $100,000 for the allocation, but like all unqualified car broker ideas, it never came to fruition. But the dream was born that one day I might have somehow a Bugatti Veyron of my own. Now, that wasn't realistic. I didn't know how I was going to make any money or do anything. But in the 20 years to follow, I've been buying cars, flipping cars, financing cars, selling cars, and I am finally in a position to make it happen. So over the past year or so, I've been an auto tempest every morning looking at what Bugattis were coming onto the market. And a few months ago, one really caught my eye. And so today, I'm going to show you the Bugatti Veyron that I can finally call mine. And this is the car, a 2012 Bugatti Veyron Grand Sport with one of the most amazing histories in its past. And this is the man who helped make it happen, Abe from Bugatti Broward.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You were relentless. You were following this car. You gave me the whole history of the car.
That's it.
I mean, it was a really fun process with you.
Thank you. Now, the car itself is very special, but the history is what makes it truly amazing. This car's first appearance was at the Frankfurt Motor Show, still owned by Bugatti, displayed at their stand, and some people have called it the Red Dragon Edition. There was actually a Bugatti promotional photo shoot of this car that showed it off, and then it went to Southern California and was owned by Birdman of Cash Money Records. And then there's several news articles a couple of years later, after many photos and videos and things like that of Birdman using the car, that he gave it to Justin Bieber. And there's photos and TMZ stories and things like that. He drove it around with Soulja Boy for a little while, and then Floyd Mayweather bought it to preemptively celebrate beating Conor McGregor in their boxing match. He's well known to have had a ton of Bugattis, but this is one that he had. There's some amazing pictures and things like that of him driving it around to some of his strip clubs just before the fight, which he did go on to win. And then it kind of fell into the hands of R.D. Whittington of Wires Only. Now, he is the nephew of some of the Whittington brothers, who were legendary marijuana smugglers and part-time Porsche racers in the late 70s and early 80s. They went on to buy Road Atlanta because they could land their drug planes on the back straight. And so their nephew is now a very well-renowned car dealer in the Southwest, and he has transacted in this car a few times. Now, YouTuber Alejandro Solomon actually made a video driving this car when he was looking to replace his crashed Senna, and he did not buy it. And so it floated around, and it was eventually sold to a man by the name of Little Uzi Vert, which I guess means that I am now Big Eddie Vert. I know that he had it for a while. He, in fact, is the reason I don't currently have a speed key for the car, because he made a necklace out of it that says Vert on it. So maybe one day I'll be able to procure that back from him. But in the meantime, the car was sold again by Wires Only to a local guy in Miami, and he has now taken quite the haircut so that I could own the car. Now, very significant about this car is that it is the first and only Grand Sport to use the Super Sport wheel design and the clear taillights. I love that about it. Obviously, I've chased a few Super Sports, but this car to me is just so unique, so special, and so perfect. Now, when I say perfect, I mean not perfect. It's had a lot of paint work. It's had a little bit of strange history. The interior's a little bit worn out, but at the end of the day, it's exactly the way that I love to own a car. Now, Abe's been helping me in negotiating the consignor owner of this car, and we are missing a few things on this car that are not insignificant when it comes to value. For instance, normally when you have the large roof off the car, since the Grand Sport has the removable roof. There's 58 worldwide, 14 US cars. You would have kind of a pop-up tent toupee thing that you would put into the receiving holes for the top so that you could drive it, not very fast, but we don't have that. We don't have the factory covers, the factory trickle charger, all these sorts of things. The PDA that you're supposed to use to change the value, all these things are for another Bugatti that Abe has. And if we were to replace all of this lovely hardware that we don't have, as well as a second key, speed key,
PDA.
how much would that cost?
Don't even know. I'd have to.
Lovely owner's manual. Yeah, don't have one of those. We'll be guessing, or you're going to teach me. But hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of things that I do not have and I will not drop. But that's okay, because none of that will interfere with my ability to use, drive, and enjoy this car. And that is what I am so excited to do. Now, in this journey, we have sort of recreated one of the videos that made me fall in love most with the Bugatti Veyron, and that was Jeremy Clarkson racing a truffle from Turin all the way back to London against James May and Richard Hammond in a Top Gear race. Now, he did that in a 2006 European car that I did chase a bit. It was sold at one point to a plastic surgeon in Moscow. Now it is back home in Molsheim, and they don't seem to want to part with it. But I loved that video. So yesterday, we were supposed to pick this car up, but a normal 2-hour flight from Atlanta to Miami turned into a 90-minute delay. A delay in taxiing, flew down to Miami, circled the Keys, found out the storm was too bad to land, went back to Tampa, sat there for 2 hours, came back here, sat on the tarmac, and about 12 hours later, we were finally here in Miami. Now, hopefully that will not be my experience. In just a few days, I'm going to shoot some content around Miami with Curated, and then I am road tripping my brand new, to me, Bugatti Veyron Grand Sport back home to Atlanta. Oh my goodness. Now, the Bugatti Veyron came out initially as a coupe version, but when they did the roof off in the Grand Sport, it still has 1,001 horsepower from the quadruple turbocharged 8-liter W16, unique to this car, but then continued into the Chiron. There's about 1,000 W16 cars ever made by the brand. And even though they thought they were going to build 150 of these, they didn't sell very well initially. The car goes 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds and onto a top speed of electronically limited 229 with the roof off and 253 with the roof on, making it the fastest open top car ever made when it came out. It uses a double clutch transmission with 7 speeds. And one thing that you'll hear people talk about with Veyrons versus Chirons is the noise. And the noise doesn't get any better than this car with the roof off. You'll hear the turbocharged spool, you'll hear the blow-off valves. Listen to that noise. The other thing you'll hear people say about Bugattis is that they're so well built and civilized that it's a truly usable car. And as much as we all talk about wanting race cars for the road, there's a lot to be said about a car that you can actually take somewhere. A lot of the cars that we'd love to own and drive, you realistically wouldn't want to drive from Miami to Atlanta or across the country or even to dinner. You just want to run it around the block, say that you did it, go change your shirt, and go back home. But this car's got good air conditioning, it's got good visibility, it's got comfortable seats, it's got a little bit of room up front. Honestly, it's a car that you can take somewhere, and you can take it somewhere really fast. That is insane. But when you're just tooling around at lower RPMs, it drives like a Bentley. It drives like a V10 Lamborghini. It's not that big. It's not that intimidating. The capability is accessible. It's a car you can hop in, you can go, and you can go as fast as you want without worrying an awful lot about anything other than the maintenance. Now, fortunately, even though this was really a private party deal where a consignor was offering the car through Abe at Bugatti Broward, I was able to buy it through a qualified dealer, which meant I was able to build in some servicing and some repairs and some things. And so they've just serviced the car. They addressed a bit of a misfire issue because the check engine light was flashing when I test drove the car a little bit ago. And they went through everything to make sure that I'm at least pretty likely to make it all the way home. But I've driven a lot of Bugattis, I've driven a lot of amazing cars, but I've never driven a car like this with my name on the title. And I gotta say, that feels super duper different. I've got to thank all of you for watching our videos. I've got to thank our sponsors for supporting VINwiki. It's been an amazing journey with content, with cars, sometimes with profits, sometimes with losses. Oh my goodness. But a whole lot of smiles and a whole lot more to come. Good morning from Curated in downtown Miami. Now, coming here was always part of the plan later in the week, not necessarily yesterday, but yesterday, just like the day before, did not exactly go to plan. The morning was perfect. I got to pick up my dream car. It was everything that I thought it was going to be, honestly, everything I ever dreamt it could be. No, it isn't perfect, but it is perfect for me, and I am loving the car. So the plan was to drive a little bit north, see some family north of Miami, get on some roads I was more familiar with, and play with the car. And we got to do just that as the hot rod Mura pulls back into Curated behind me. But shortly after departure, the first time I really got on the car, the check engine light started to flash with a misfire, exactly like I'd seen it do a few months prior on my test drive of the car in March when I first made my attempt at shrewd negotiation. So the car, I called the guys at Broward and I said, hey, this has come back. And they said, all right, we'll circle back, let's see what it is. And so I saw some family, relax with the car a little bit, just got to kind of reflect on the moment, and it has been everything I dreamt it would be, other than that small issue. So I circled back to Bugatti Broward, where they discovered it was not a cylinder misfire that had caused it to go into this limp mode. It was an exhaust gas temperature sensor that found a measure out of range. And so they cleared that, told me everything was good to go, committed to fix it in the event that it pops back up, and sent me on my way, where I immediately met our next problem, which is what happened when I got back to the hotel. The valet kicked us out, saying that it wouldn't make it up their ramp and that they were not comfortable with the liability of the car's value. So I was scrambling a little bit, but the guys here at Curated were gracious enough to let us come and park it here last night. And so we brought it here after taking some great pictures with Larry from Winning Automotive Photography. It spent the night here, and I think it's going to have to spend most of the week here before I take it on a road trip back home to Atlanta this weekend. And so driving it around South Beach, just seeing all the beautiful places, it's everything I wanted. It drives a lot like a Bentley at low speeds. It gets really lively, really excited at high speeds, and I am so happy to finally be a Bugatti owner. Let's get this thing home. Now, this journey would never have been possible without our viewers and, of course, our sponsors. And today I want to make a special point to thank two of our sponsors, Auto Tempest and Premier Financial Services. Autotempest.com, all the cars, one search. It's honestly true because it's where I find my cars, and it's exactly where I found this car the second that it showed up. Because when a dealer stocks in a car, it can take days for it to show up on AutoTrader or Cars.com or Car Gurus, but I saw it the moment they stocked it in. I got in touch with the team at Bugatti Broward to make a deal, and I thought, you know, with the right negotiation, this might work out. So if you're looking for your dream car, starting at Auto Tempest is the place to go because you're going to get all the results in one place. Also, Premier Financial Services. Without them, none of this would be possible. They've been supporters of the channel since the very beginning, and their simple lease is truly one of the most powerful tools in the world of exotic car financing. They allow you to have all the benefits of a leasing structure while also enjoying the benefits of a traditional finance. You can accumulate equity, pay it off at any time, and you'll always know where you stand thanks to their amortization table. That's how I'll know as well. So you never know how it's going to work out, but I never saw this coming, and it wouldn't have been possible without our sponsors and without you guys. Thank you for coming along on my Bugatti journey.